them all what I'm made up. Strut down the hall, won't stop till I get enough.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping straight into a pretty significant event.
We are. The start of the Sean Diddy Combs sex crimes and racketeering trial. It kicked off Monday, May 12th, 2025, right in Manhattan.
Exactly. And we want to focus specifically on that first day, sort of unpack the key moments based on the reporting that came out.
Yeah, understand what actually happened inside the courtroom on day one.
So just to set the scene quickly, Combs is facing, well, very serious charges. We're talking sex trafficking, racketeering, transportation for prostitution.
And he's pleaded not guilty to all of them.
Right. The core of the accusation, basically, is that he used his fame over, 2 decades to lure women into these parties, the so-called freak-offs.
But our goal today isn't really to relitigate the charges themselves. It's more about looking at day one as it unfolded.
Yeah. What were the pivotal moments? We're especially looking at some really graphic testimony that came out.
From a male sex worker, yes. And also the reactions from Combs' family who are there in court. It's about getting a sense of the atmosphere, the human element of it all.
Okay, so let's start there. The testimony that seemed to cause a real stir, Daniel Phillip.
Right, Daniel Phillip. He was identified as a male escort.
And what did he actually allege on the stand?
Well, his testimony was quite detailed. He alleged that Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, or Cassie, paid him.
Paid him to do what?
To have sex with her. While Combs was apparently present, watching, and, according to the testimony, masturbating in the corner.
Wow. That's incredibly graphic and disturbing. Did his testimony cover anything else?
It did. He also mentioned witnessing Combs being violent towards Ventura at other times.
Okay.
But the reports really emphasize the explicit nature of the sexual encounter descriptions. That seems to be the part that had the most immediate impact in the courtroom.
And that leads to the family reaction, right? Because we heard his daughters actually left during this.
That's what's reported, yes. His 3 daughters, Chance, who just graduated high school, and the twins, Delilah and Jesse, who are 18.
They left the courtroom.
Twice, apparently, during Phillip's testimony, specifically when he was describing those sexual acts, including that detail about Combs allegedly masturbating.
That's understandable. I mean, hearing those kinds of details about your father.
It must have been incredibly difficult. What's interesting, though, is the contrast.
The contrast with what?
With the reaction later, when the prosecution played that 2016 hotel security video.
The video showing the alleged assault on Cassie Ventura. What happened then? Did they leave again?
No, apparently not. The reports say the daughters and Combs' mother, Janice Combs, they stayed. They looked straight ahead as the video played.
So they watched the footage of him allegedly, shoving her, kicking her.
Yes, that's the description of the footage. And his sons were reportedly there watching too. But the daughters and his mother specifically were noted as looking straight ahead.
That is a contrast. Leaving during the explicit verbal testimony, but staying for the visual evidence of alleged violence.
It does make you wonder, doesn't it? Why the different reaction?
Maybe the spoken details felt more personal, invasive, compared to video evidence, which might feel slightly more detached, even though it's showing something awful.
That's one way to look at it. The sheer intimacy, the sexual nature of Phillip's account, maybe that was just too much to hear directly, while the video, as disturbing as it is maybe processed differently.
It definitely raises questions about how we react to different kinds of evidence, especially when it's so personal and potentially traumatic.
Absolutely. It's something psychologists probably study, how verbal versus visual testimony lands.
What about Combs himself? How was his demeanor reported during all this?
He seemed outwardly calm. Reports described him wearing a gray sweater, white-collared shirt, khaki pants, pretty standard.
Any interaction with his family?
Yeah, interestingly, he apparently blew a kiss towards them at one point.
Huh. Blowing a kiss amidst all that.
It's a small detail, but it paints a picture, doesn't it? A contrast to the gravity of the situation.
Definitely. So, beyond the testimony, the reactions, what else marked day one? We mentioned the video evidence.
Right. Playing that 2016 hotel footage was obviously a key moment for the prosecution.
And that happened after Phillip's testimony, the testimony that made the daughters leave.
Correct. That's the sequence reported. Testimony, daughters leave and return. Then later, the video is played and they stay.
Okay. And the prosecution also gave their opening statement.
Yes. Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson laid out their case.
What was the gist of it? What did she tell the jury they intended to prove?
She talked about a criminal enterprise, that was the term, allegedly run by Combs spanning 2 decades.
A criminal enterprise involving.
She listed kidnapping, arson, drugs, sex crimes. So a very broad and serious scope of alleged criminal activity connected over years.
That really sets a high bar for the prosecution.
Yeah.
And just to remind listeners, this all stems from that 2024 indictment.
That's right, the indictment that brought these specific federal charges. And it connects back to those freak-off parties we mentioned earlier.
Parties that allegedly sometimes went on for days.
According to the context provided, yes. Part of the alleged pattern of using his influence.
It's just a lot to take in from only the first day. The reporting also made sure to include some important resources.
Yes, and that's crucial. They listed the National Domestic Violence Hotline. The number is 1-800-799-7233, and the website is thehotline.org.
Good to mention. And it was another one.
The National Sexual Assault Hotline. That's 1-800-656-HOPE, which is 4673. And their website is rainn.org, RAINN.org.
Really vital resources for anyone affected by the kinds of issues being discussed in this trial.
Absolutely essential.
So as we wrap up this initial deep dive, what stands out most to you from day one, the biggest takeaways?
I think definitely the intensity of that first testimony from Daniel Phillip. And the very visible, very human reaction from Combs' daughters.
That contrast again.
Exactly. Leaving during the graphic descriptions, staying for the video evidence, and then, of course, the prosecution setting out its stall, talking about this wide-ranging criminal enterprise. It signals a long and complex trial ahead.
For sure. And that contrast in reactions, it really is thought-provoking, isn't it?
It is.
It leaves us with a question, perhaps for you listening. Why might that be? Does hearing something described, especially something so intimate and graphic, carry a different kind of emotional weight than seeing visual evidence, even if that evidence is also disturbing?
How does that difference impact how we perceive things, especially in a courtroom?
Yeah, something to think about as this trial continues to unfold. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're Bobby doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get